Hi friends, and welcome back. My name is Ebony. I'm a furniture artist, and I specialize in taking neglected pieces of furniture and turning them into something beautiful. So in today's video, I'll be transforming this dresser. Now I got this one for free on Facebook Marketplace. However, it was actually $15 at first. But as I was trying to coordinate a time to meet up, I was told that whoever came first was going to get the dresser because it's first come, first serve. So by the time I was available to pick it up, I was going to message the person, and by that time they changed it to free and said come get it out of my driveway. So by 10 p.m. my husband and I were able to go pick it up, and it was still there. So I was very excited about that. So it's solid wood. It is pretty banged up. There are scratches and cracks on either side of the dresser, which I thought was strange. So I'm gonna do my best to repair that, but without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So the first step is to remove the hardware. I will say the knobs, I was indecisive. I wasn't sure if I was going to use them again on the same project or just save them for a future flip, but I'm just going to put them in a Ziploc baggie for now. Now the bottom hardware, I knew I wanted to switch that out. One of the handles is missing, so that was part of the reason, but for the most part, that's just not my favorite hardware style. And then from there, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the drawer liners. So it was very difficult to remove it. I looked up some options, and I was going to try the citrus strip method, but I used all of that in a previous flip. So I was just stuck just tearing it out by hand, and it was such a long process. But of course, I sped it up for you guys for the sake of time. Okay, and now to clean the dresser, I'm using TSP and hot water, and then I'm going to rinse everything back with just plain water. Okay, so as we move along to wood filler, I'm going to grab my bondo, of course, and I'm just going to make a couple of piles, and they don't get hard until you add the cream product. So I'm going to work one pile at a time, and I'm just going to fill the cracks down the sides of the dresser. So like I said, they're cracked, and I don't really know why. I thought it was a bit strange, and so if you guys know of any other solution to fix something like this, just let me know down in the comments. But this is definitely a rare occasion, so I don't think I'll be seeing this happen again. But for the most part, I think this solution did work. It got the job done. It wasn't the most seamless cover-up in the end, but it's definitely better than having a whole crack down the side of your dresser. Okay, so I'm also going to use this bondo to plug the old hardware holes, and then from there I'm going to show you guys how I use bondo to repair a chipped drawer. So we're getting into that in the very next clip, but I just want to talk you through it. So I almost, actually, to be honest with you, I almost forgot to record this, and that's why it's not the best quality, because by the time I remembered, I just quickly pressed record and I had already started. But what you're going to do is just create like a false corner, and you're just gonna keep molding until the bondo begins to stiffen up a little bit. And in the beginning, it's gonna look crazy. I had to do this, I wanna say 4, maybe 5 times, and eventually it all came together. Now granted, it's not going to be perfect, and that's something I'm trying to just be more gentle with myself about, because I'm such a perfectionist. It's not even funny, but it's gonna look better than having a whole chipped corner. So while the drawer is still drying, I'm just gonna go ahead and sand down these drawers. It only takes about 10, maybe 15 minutes for the bondo to dry, depending on the weather. But I'm just using a 120 grit sandpaper to smooth everything down. And then I'm also going to scuff sand the remaining areas on the dresser as well. Okay, so now that this is nice and hard, I'm going to come back and hand sand this corner using a 120 grit sandpaper. You can honestly go up or go down, and you can use like an 80 grit, maybe a 60 grit. To be honest, I'm just trying to save on product, and this is already out and I'm using it, and so yeah. But sand it down until you get to see the shape form, and then you're going to repeat the process from the top and keep doing that until you're satisfied. Okay, so now I'm going to apply some wood glue to these dovetails, and I'm just going to hammer them back in place. Okay, so now that I've done all of my sanding, I need to wipe back all of the sanding dust. So it's important not to skip this step and to be very thorough and just take your time and rinse out your water. So here's a quick look at the drawer. I do notice in this clip it is a little bit off-centered, and I did come back and sand it down just a bit to make it more even. But let's go ahead and move on to primer. So I'm going to use my Zenzerbin shellacked based primer. That's really hard to say. So my Zenbin primer. And I decided to try to be a little bit more strategic here. So typically I would wrap off each individual drawer with my drape and tape. My tape and drape. But I figured I still had to cook dinner and make my way down to the gym. And so I was trying to save on time. So I was very proud of myself because this is literally all in one day. And I got further along than I thought. So I just told myself I'd be very careful as I rolled the primer. And I figured I could come back the next day and wrap the drawers. But then I thought maybe I can figure out a way to do this without having to wrap the drawers. So that's exactly what I did. And I think the process worked out well for me. I do think it will depend on the type of dresser and the style of the drawers going forward if I ever wanted to do this again. But in this case, it did work out well, and I was grateful because not only did I save time, I saved on product, which then I saved on money. So I'm just going to prime everything here, and then tomorrow I come back and I begin the painting process. Okay, so let us begin by talking about my paint choice for today. Now I'm using Home Depot's cabinet enamel, and it's about $41 for the gallon. I'm using a satin finish, that's typically my go-to. The color is Ice Formations by Benjamin Moore. Now this color is absolutely beautiful, and I don't even think that the camera is doing this justice. So it's definitely a color that I would go to again. I'm actually going to write this down just so that I have a reference if I ever wanted to find a beautiful neutral color. This will be my go-to. It took about 2 coats to get full coverage, and on the first coat I did forget about the corners of the drawers, so I made sure to get that the second time around. And then another thing I forgot to do was kind of pull the drawers out just in case there would be any sticking as the drawers were beginning to dry. So I was able to catch it before it was too late and everything was fine. And then after the drawers had dried completely, I pulled them out and I sprayed the areas that were covered by the drawers initially. The last thing I wanted to mention is the time that this took. So I never stopped the recording, and it took about 3 minutes and 22 seconds to paint this entire dresser. So if you guys were ever wondering about how long it takes to paint furniture with a sprayer, that's kind of an estimate for you. And that also includes me walking around and looking at the dresser in between my spraying. So it wasn't even like a seamless spray job. I kind of took breaks in between, and that time was amazing. And now I'm just going to seal everything up using 2 coats of my water-based polyurethane, and I like to do this while it's cool outside just to make sure that everything will dry correctly.